Warden, Deputy Warden, councillors. So today I'll talk briefly about rural internet, but I think tonight actually is more of a plea to the general public. I'd like them to get them to do something for us to help them out, if you will. As you may know, several years ago, the province embarked on a well-intended attempt to provide rural internet to almost every home in Nova Scotia. It fell a bit short, and in some communities, there's no internet at all, or it's sadly, it's not only is it lacking, but it's not at the speeds that it should be. The numbers of how many people are affected by this vary depending on the sources you're quoting, but we all know in this municipality, anecdotally, what that looks like. So what we're trying to do now is we're trying to get as much empirical evidence to give to the powers that be and the decision makers a better understanding of what it looks like, or what these affected areas look like. So, and I will try with Mike Surrett, our IT person here, to put on the screen in this presentation an address, internet address for the residents of all of the municipality to go on and click a browser program that's going to go and capture the data, the uploads and the download speeds at their residence. So that address, in case this doesn't work out, is https://performance.circa.ca/Annapolis Valley. And some residents have been using it. It's on our Facebook page as well, so please go to the Municipality of the District of Yarmouth's Facebook page and look for the link for the performance.circa.ca link, and that's going to log your internet speeds, uploads and downloads both. I can tell you that in East Kemptville, 7 people have run this, and the download speed is 0.78 megabytes per second, which is woefully inadequate. Forest Glen had 58 people that ran the test, and they're 0.74 megabytes of download, and uploads even slower. So the more residents that we have that go out and click on this link, this test site, the better it is. I would encourage all the residents to click it at different times, to go onto the site on different times of the day, different times of the week, so that we get more data points, and that's going to make our data that more accurate. And then we can go with empirical evidence to the powers that be and say, this is the real situation of the state of internet in our communities. So as Warden Anthony had mentioned, I attended a meeting with the CAO and the Deputy Warden about rural internet, and there we had 10 plus municipalities looking to establish perhaps look into the possibility of establishing a multi-municipal organization that perhaps could then be in a better position to represent all of Southwest Nova Scotia, and hopefully access federal funds that will be made available to the tune of $600 million at some point in time in the future. So there are employees from the different municipalities working on that, drafting up the memorandum of understanding, and that will be submitted at some point in time to the council here, and we can decide whether we want to partake in that or not. Also, you may be aware that yesterday the Department of Business has offered up funds to the tune of $500,000 to help out with rural internet access, and we're beginning to work with the 2 local groups that have rural internet solutions in the works for their municipalities. One is in Forest Glen and the other is in Cedar Lake. So we'll be working with them going forward to try to get rural internet out to their communities as well. And that would basically be about it, I guess. If there's any questions, I'll entertain those.
Go ahead, John. Mark, thank you very much. I have a question. What if you do not have internet in a specific area? Then that website will be useless for you. But how are they going to understand that? Some people can't because
That's right.
there's no internet.
Very good question. We did send out surveys as well in the letter that gets sent out. The name's slipping me. The letter that we send out every quarter. Newsletter. Thank you very much. Yeah. So we sent those out, and we've taken those back, and we still get some sent in every now and again too. So those will be included as well. But they could also come in and tell us as well if they like. Anyway, talk to the councilors as well in their district. Let them know, and we'll tabulate that data, and we'll give it also to the iValley folks.
Okay. And my other question is, what is good in terms of the service?
I used to know that. There is. I could try to tell you that off the top of my head. I won't. What I will do is I will post it on Facebook, and maybe, and again, for those that don't have internet, maybe I'll be able to present that at the next council meeting. Actually, Paul, you might know that the FCC, they have uploads.
The FCC is 15.
Yeah, so
the Canadian government is currently at 5.
So, but the thing about that's 15 upload or down?
That's 15 down.
15, and how much up?
5.
So 5 up and 15 down.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks very much, Mark, for your presentation. You're certainly speaking to the choir here when it comes to slow internet speeds. And what really amazes me is some areas, even though they're very close to town, like in the Warden's area down at the Chabot Boat Club, very slow, if any. And when we're talking about internet speeds, when you're doing this test site, are we talking about an ISP, internet service provider, or are we talking about cellular?
Both. They want to know how you're connecting, and I failed to mention that site. It's going to capture over 100 data points, the IP address, the amount of hops it's going to take, probably some of the router addresses as well, upload and download speed. I wish it would capture street address. I don't think it does, but the more you use it, the better the data set will be, and I do believe we'll be able to glean out of there some of the inconsistencies. And but it's cellular, any device whatsoever, be it a PC, iPad, cell phone, whatever. Use whatever you can.
Because the funny thing is when you're talking about at least cell service, and people associate cell service and internet speed as the same thing.
Right.
There's no real cell service from, say, the Brazil Lake Road down throughout the community, except for when you get right in the hub of the Carleton community.
Right.
So when it comes to trying to do a test like that, like say if you're going through with your phone, it's useless, and it'd be kind of nice if it did have a locator where you were.
No, you're right, and I don't know that it does. And that question has been asked to the people that have provided this link to us, and I haven't received an answer just as of yet. But getting back to, we don't know what's out there. We don't know how it's wired, and there could be fiber optic going right by your house, and yet you can't tap into it for whatever reason. And that's something as well. We need to, of course, speak with the ISPs, internet service providers, and try to get them to tell us what's out there to help us with this problem that's affecting every facet of our lives, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So the ISP providers, is there only one main company that we know of here, in just say in the town of Yarmouth? Is there one that's laid out the fiber optic cable, or is there like a company like Bell, Telus, Rogers?
Well, there's been a lot of hands in the pie, right? We've had Bell, Rogers, Telus, as you point out. I believe even Alliant had put some fiber out there, and there's even reports that Nova Scotia Power had some put out as well. Why, I don't know. And then that was slowly acquired by other companies, so they might not even know exactly what they have,
Yeah.
right? So that's part of the problem as well.
And that always seems to be the big question mark up in the air. Where is it and how much of it is there
That's
out
right.
there? And we don't know that.
And as you probably heard at the meeting that we attended, there was somebody out Shelburne way that said, look, they know that they've got fiber going right by Shelburne, and yet they can't tap into it. Why is that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I'll leave you, and there's other councillors, I think. Well, I don't see any mics flashing, but thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Any further questions or things for Mark at this time? And I would think we need, or what I'm looking for, would be at least two motions on two different parts, and Mark may have to liaise on this. I'd like to see a motion from this council to approve moving forward with the two applications that you stated here. Municipality move forward with those. Support those, move forward and support. Go ahead, Councilor.
Yes, I'll move the municipality district of Yarmouth provide support to further the two internet projects that you alluded to in your presentation tonight. The one in Cedar Lake and the one in Carleton, Forest Glen.
I second that.
And then we move by Councilor Trevor Cunningham and second by Deputy Warden John Cunningham. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Ready for the question? All.
I have to apologize. I wasn't aware that I was to present them as that. So getting back to the second portion there. So the 10 plus municipalities, they're drawing up a memorandum of understanding. I don't think that there's anything to do at this point, but it perhaps later on, you would be asked whether or not you would want to partake in that multi-municipal agreement and/or organization.
If I could, I think they would like for us to sign the MOU right away so they can get working on it. Working on furthering applications towards the federal government for that funding. Obviously, any financial number would come down the road, but at least signing the MOU would permit us to engage with the other units to form that group to pursue that at this time. So even a motion to authorize the signing of an MOU, understanding that we're 1/10 partners.
But there's no MOU as of yet.
No, but it's being thrown around. The final draft is about ready, and I don't think we'll have another meeting before in time.
Sorry, I wasn't aware. No.
Yeah, I'm just getting stuff today, so.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Right, I'll move that municipality district of Yarmouth participate in a memorandum of understanding when it's drafted among the multiple municipalities in West Nova to extend internet access to rural communities.
Thank you.
We have a second also. Been moved by Councilor Trevor Cunningham and seconded by Daniel Allen. Is there any further discussion on that motion? You all understood it?
Question on the motion?
Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item number 6, business arising. 6.1 is the Hebron Phase 3 sidewalks, which is a standing item. Councillor T. Cunningham, do you wish to speak anything to that? Go ahead.
Right, I understand that there's some good news around this, and that a number of the properties that had to be engaged as far as moving the project forward have agreed to have signed off on the requirements to have poles moved or guide wires placed, this type of thing. And so we are, my understanding is that we're almost there. Maybe staff can comment a little bit about that. And I guess my expectation is once that process is finally in place, we get the request for proposal out ASAP, so contractors can make bid submissions to us, and we can get the shovels in the ground in the spring.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. 6.2, email from UNSM per confirmation of receipt of letter pertaining to the resolution process. You folks had that as information in your package. To 3 new councillors, you must have some questions per the UNSM resolution process. I know, again, Patty, you say you're going to the conference. Is there any concerns or questions you have at this time? It should be a very interesting discussion. UNSM has made some changes, or looking to make some changes, and I don't know how that'll go forward on the floor on Thursday, but it should be very interesting, and so on. Is no other questions on the resolution process at UNSM? Hearing none. 6.3, upcoming events. Anybody wish to highlight on any events in your neighborhood or community? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
November 28th is dumping day, and as usual, the Friends of the Yarmouth Light will be hosting people to come out and wish our fishermen well on dumping day. It all starts at 5 a.m. There's been a post on the Cape for Shoe Facebook page and the capeforshoelight.com website as to the listing of events. So 5 a.m. Bring your flashlights.
Is there any, thank you, Councillor. Is there anything else from anybody? Go ahead, Councillor, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to let everybody know that I attended the memorial service at Maple Grove this past November. Very moving is having all them students there and the veterans there, and how they, and Joe Bashir and his group, very impressive. I know my children participated in that in his group also while they was at Maple Grove. And also, I just want to let people know that every Thursday night in our community hall in Pembroke, which is a music night, and it's well attended. We have anywhere from 15 to 20 musicians and 30 to 40 people listening. So everybody's welcome to come over and listen to some good music and have a little lunch at 8 o'clock, and it's a good time. So we've moved things right along with that. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cunningham?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wish to thank my fellow colleague Lauren for letting me know about that. I do attempt to play guitar every once in a while, and if I get a spare evening or something, I'd love to come out and attend and dazzle you, or throw some earplugs or my way so you don't hear me, but I'm really glad that I heard about that. As we sit here tonight on November the 23rd, unfortunately, I had a choice between our first regularly scheduled council meeting with our new councillors, or the Christmas tree lighting, which is currently taking place out in the Carleton area. I'm more than glad to sit with you. I already made the commitment that I was going to be here, but just to let you know that that's going on currently as we sit. Also, on the 27th of November at 2 o'clock, there's going to be a Santa Claus parade in the Carleton area. We've had this over the past 10 or 12 years, I think it's been, and it used to go on rain or shine. I don't know if it's going to be canceled because of the forecasted rain that's coming, but I'll certainly let each and every one you know. But it's tentatively scheduled for this November the 27th at 2 p.m. and I'm going to have a float in there. Also, we have our own Christmas tree lighting ceremony going on here on December the 2nd, I believe. However, I do not have the time down in front of me, and if staff could please
It's at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. I'm not sure if the warden's going to be able to attend because he has previous engagements, but I'll certainly be here, and I hope that each and every one of you come out and enjoy Santa Claus and all the kids that come out. There's going to be different events going on, hot chocolate. I believe we're still going to be giving hay rides this year, like we have in previous years, and just a meet and greet, and it's quite well attended out in this area. If I remember
It is
correctly,
growing.
there was about 75 people the last time that I was to this event, and it was very well enjoyed by kids and family, and our colleagues from the town, municipality of Argyle show up, so I'd like to let you know about that. And there's also another Christmas tree lighting ceremony in Argyle on the 27th. Municipality District of Argyle is having theirs on the 27th of this month, and I don't have the time for that one either, but I thought that that was worth mentioning today. I'll personally be attending that. I think it's
Yeah,
at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, I
If
believe.
I remember
Counselor.
correctly.
That's what I
hate
have
to
in
go
mind.
by memory, but I'll be attending that one as well, provided that, yeah, that's right there in Tuscan. And that's some of the events that's going on. I'm sure I have more. I could certainly fill most of the night with the meetings that I've attended since I've been sworn as your deputy warden, but I've attended a lot of meetings and working very hard with the warden. And if any of you have any concerns or problems, please let me know, and we'll move on from there. Thank you.
Counselor Durkee, you,
Just wanted you to know that I attended the Remembrance Day services at the Port Maitland Elementary School, and that it was extremely well attended. And I know that it's being put on through the Legion, and that because the Legion is closing, there was question of whether or not they should continue that service or not. But looking at the number of participants that come, there should be no question that that service should be continued, and I would highly support that.
thank you very much. Is there anything else? Hearing nothing? Just here. Item number 7, which is new business in your package, 7.1, December council meeting. As you are all well aware, we have Committee of the Whole, the second Wednesday of the month day meeting. The fourth Wednesday of the month is our regular council meeting in the evening. And if you go to your calendars, you'll see that we are, our second meeting runs pretty close to the holidays and so on. So my recommendation is that, but that's totally up to you, is that we hold one council meeting the second Wednesday of the month, and it would be a council meeting. It wouldn't be a committee of the whole, whether you folks want that as a day meeting or an evening meeting. So, go ahead, Councillor Cunningham.
I think it's been our practice to have the regularly scheduled one in the evening, so my preference would be to have it in the evening of the 14th.
Okay. There's been a suggestion made. Is there any other discussion on that or any concerns? Go ahead.
Chair, is it my understanding that there will only be one council meeting in December?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, if it's in the evening, then the 14th, I won't be able to attend it unless the wind is blowing.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Is there any other concerns or considerations? I'm going to put it out there, Daniel, you're... Go ahead.
I will attend if I'm available, obviously due to work commitments.
Okay, yes.
Although I will
Yeah.
definitely be letting you know, I'll let you know ahead of
Yes,
time.
and we
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's important.
But definitely,
Yeah.
if it's an evening meeting, it's definitely better for me at that
Okay.
point in time. Might be able to be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then is it agreed that we have a regular council meeting on the 14th in the evening? And we'd have a regular start time for 5:30 for committee of the whole, or for in-camera discussion. That may change because it's all according to what, if we don't have any in-camera, so be it, but otherwise, okay, and staff will let us know on that. So if you'll duly mark that, thank you. 7.2, the October Development Report. You have that in your package. What is your wishes?
Move
ahead,
the,
Councillor.
I'll move the adoption of the October development report.
We have a mover. Do we have a seconder for that?
Second.
Seconded by Pat, moved by Trevor, seconded by Patty. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Thank you. 7.3, also in your package, and also shows you a map of where that road is on, but it is a road name request. What is the wishes of the council? Go ahead,
I
Patty.
can make a motion that we accept the road name change request
And what is the name?
to, I don't know.
Forest Lane, is it? Forest
Forest Lane, Forest Lake Lane.
Lake
you.
Lane. Yes. A motion, and Trevor, you second? Moved by Patty, seconded by Trevor. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Thank you very much. 7.4, Legacy Society update. Councillor Gerard LeBlanc, and we well realize Councillor LeBlanc is home sick. I don't know if anybody can speak to it. There is a letter there, no heritage funding for the Legacy Society. You have that in your package. And I don't know what some of you guys' feelings are on how this society group was treated on this legacy funding, whether it was for the full amount or for anything, but as you see there is no funding. So go ahead, Councillor Cunningham.
I guess we've talked about this in a previous council meeting, and this was for the 150th, and you know, I think council was waiting with anticipation. You know, it was something that, you know, I think everybody was really proud of. There'd been quite a bit of time and effort invested, and I guess the other piece is this is where Canada started. You know, essentially, or part of where it started, a big portion of where it started, and and southwest Nova Scotia and up through the Annapolis Valley and so forth. And anyway, I think we all shared the disappointment that we were passed over for the, you know, the funding that we thought we were going to get. So I guess our expectations were high, and they weren't met. So I think lots of people who worked hard on this file and thought that we were deserving of the support were you know, disappointed. So I guess beyond that, perhaps we could bring it back to the council table next meeting. It had Councillor LeBlanc's name by it, so I think perhaps that should be a recommendation to staff, just to leave it on the agenda, and because Councillor LeBlanc was going to speak to it this evening.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Is there any other discussion or concerns on that? Deputy Warden?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Did we, as a council in the previous sitting of the old council, did we send a letter to the MP Colin Fraser in this regards, our disappointment or anything like that?
I've done something.
I can't remember.
I thought there was something, because I was very upset, very disappointed that then, you know, we were completely out of the loop altogether. So I think there was something sent off, but I can't remember exactly.
I can't remember either as well. I haven't done my homework to go back and check to see if we did our, actually the CAO has his hand in the air, so he may be able to answer my question.
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah. Actually, we had discussed that, and we were awaiting the decision of the group, which Gerard was going to bring to us, because there will be a common position going forward from the group. So we were waiting for that information back from Gerard.
Yeah, I can't believe that they turned down this application, because we have one of the first settlements here in Nova Scotia up at Port Royal, just up in the Annapolis Basin, things like that. That actually upsets me, and since we're going to be having this on the agenda at a future meeting, I maybe want to put this out there to the other councillors that maybe we consider writing a letter at that time to our MP Colin Fraser to express our disappointment, number one, and number two is to have a face-to-face meeting and invite him here to meet with council to express our concern about that and other items that we may have. So just something to keep in the back of our minds for our next council meeting when we discuss this, when Councillor Gerard LeBlanc is here.
Good point, Councillor. Or Deputy Warden, thank you. Yes. Seven point five, letter from Tri-County Regional School Board per the Arcadia Consolidated School. Let it be shown that Trevor Cunningham stepped away from the table. You have the letter in your package, councillors. I have spoken briefly with our Public Works Supervisor Director, Derek, and so on. They have done one walkthrough through the property and so on. There is, I guess I'll say, one or two small issues that that are going to be addressed by the Tri-County Regional School Board. There will be, once that issue is addressed and accepted, that there'll be a changing of or re-keying all of the locks and be new keys presented to the municipality, and we'll take over that property again. Derek did also bring to my attention that there's already been very slight vandalism at the school. So all of the windows, the lower windows, both back and front, will have to be at our cost, plywooded over and so on. It is just one of those things young people do and so on. The other thing we'll probably be looking at in a very short period of time will be some graffiti work and so on. That's a given. But I don't know if any of the newer councillors have any questions on the transferring of the Arcadia School back to the municipality, why it is, or anything of that nature. Go ahead, councillor.
Yes, I understand the reason why it's coming back to the municipality arm. Do we have any intentions to do something with it, or for sell the property, or what are we? Is that been in consideration at all, or because I guess you always know this, it was coming out?
Yes, I guess I could probably answer it, but if you can answer it, go ahead. I appreciate it.
We haven't made any final decisions on that, Lauren.
Okay.
We need to take possession of it first, and then I guess then we'll sit down and decide how we want to approach trying to do something with it or putting it on the market. I'm not sure. That was decided. We'd leave that to this new council.
Okay.
They were elected.
Gotcha.
So
we're
that'll be one of our. It'll be coming at us very soon.
Yeah. So we're responsible for the upkeep of it till we decide what to do with it.
That's right.
Another expense.
We'll somewhat mothball it for now.
Yeah. But thank you.
See what we can do.
Is there any further questions? Go ahead, Daniel.
I'm just wondering, I travel by there every day. I see people in and out of there, out of the school. So I'm assuming, I probably shouldn't assume, but is that the school board that are doing things to get it ready to transfer over to us?
When you say, if I may, when you say in and out of the school itself or on the property? Probably on the property.
I see them coming out of the school,
Well,
out of the building itself. Like just today, I come by, there was somebody coming out of the building. There's been a couple cars parked there. People.
I get my.
I'm just curious if there are things they're doing to the building or stuff before we're getting it. Same with the playground. I noticed that they did remove things. Are they removing any more? Is what's there going to stay? Do you know?
We haven't taken possession yet, so anybody going in there would be under their authority, because we haven't actually done the final walkthrough and taken possession. So I'm only hoping that it's their people doing good things there, because we didn't have the greatest of experiences with the old former Hebron school that was here. We had a terrible experience with that before it was turned back to us. So anyway, hopefully it's their people doing good things. We'll have to assume that.
Mm-hmm.
The playground equipment, they had indicated that they would be removing anything that would pass CSA certification, that they could remove and install on another playground, another school playground. Unfortunately, if they leave anything behind, it's because it's not CSA certified. So we're probably not going to leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't. The liability would just be
Yeah.
beyond.
Any further questions? I guess if I may, I'll step up here, I think it would be pertinent then that we ask our Public Works Director, Derek, to maybe get in touch with Steve Stoddard to see if it is Tri-County School Board staff that are going in noted there at this time. On the playground equipment, I know where the school board would be coming from. It's their property. I'm wondering, did the school board buy that equipment, or was that done by the Holman School Board? I wonder if that, which is, I'll say the parents, et cetera, purchased that equipment. And I don't know if it's handed back or handed over to the school board, or it stayed just as equipment. I'm just kind of wondering, because I remember when they put it in there, that was for a community use, because when school was out, a lot of the community people would go there and use that and play on the playground, and so on. So, because we have to remember that property has the school, had the playground, had the big, I'll call it the soccer field up back, and it also has the walking trail. Okay, so it's kind of a combination. Deputy Warden?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I remember that this was a line item in our previous budget that council passed last spring. And I know that the municipality set aside funds in anticipation of taking over the building. I guess my question would be, when we have the keys handed over to us, is the building ready to go to sleep, or is that the responsibility of the municipality of Yarmouth to winterize the building? Like if there's any antifreeze that needs to be added to any pipes. I do know that we have to keep some heat on in there, so everything won't freeze up, but I'm wondering how much of that is going to be our responsibility, since
It'll be all our responsibility.
it'll be all our responsibility.
They will leave it with the minimal heat on when they walk out, I'm sure, and there it is.
Like
Yeah.
you're talking like all the toilets, et cetera.
Yeah, all the toilets
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
So we'll have to do some preparation, and I know there's been some talk about boarding up some of the windows on the lower level. There's already one or two broken in behind there, I think.
See, another thing that concerns me too is we have very minimal staff. Our staff is well worked. Do we have the time, or are we going to have to hire out to complete some of this work, or can that all be done in-house?
Good question. It's all according to don't snow.
It depends. Some of it may have to be hired out.
Yeah, so obviously I can't remember how.
I mean, we don't have a big public works staff. as
No,
you
no,
know.
we don't. That's the reason why I brought that up, because I obviously wasn't here when the municipality took over the old school in Hebron, and some of the problems that I've been told that happened. I just want to try to avoid some of the things going on. And
We've been assured that won't happen this time, and that there'll be a walkthrough with Steve Stoddard and his, whoever he has, and our people will do a walkthrough before they hand the keys over.
yeah, okay.
So we've been assured that I probably shouldn't say raping and pillaging of the school doesn't take place, but that's pretty much what happened.
And
here.
that's what's kind of
That's what
concerning me,
happened here.
because that's what happened the previous time.
We've been assured that won't happen this time.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess it's going to be a learning process for all of us, unless the warden's been here long enough to remember the Hebron school turnover, but I certainly wouldn't.
I can remember enough for all of you.
Councillor Durkee, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wondering if that building would be accessible for any community groups that wish to use it, for like profit activities or active things.
You wish to answer that one, or you wish, whether, not really?
Not a simple answer.
No, yeah, no.
So if I understand correctly, are you saying, Councillor, would the municipality entertain keeping the building and maintaining it and opening it up for community use?
Well, at least temporarily until we decide what we want to do with it. If a community group wanted to use that, can they apply to the municipality to carry on like, an
That
activity
would
there?
Potentially have some pretty serious budgetary implications. We've budgeted to mothball the school over the winter while we decide what the longer term use of it could be. And it would take some time to canvass, if we're going to canvass the public for input and or put it on the market, that would take some time anyway. In the meantime, we've only budgeted enough to basically board it up and mothball it and minimize the heat for the winter.
For the winter months.
We're getting it at the worst possible time of year.
Yeah.
So
Okay, thank
we
you.
just want to maintain it in its current status, so we maintain heat, but it would be minimal.
Thank you.
Councillor Cushion?
Being familiar with winterizing summer homes that I do in my private business, I would suggest, and I'm hoping that this is what our staff will be directed to do, is to drain the water out of the complete system and add some plumbing antifreeze to these areas so that nothing breaks, because even if you have the minimum heat on, there's always a risk that something's going to freeze and something's going to break, even because we have it on the minimum heat. And when the time comes in the springtime, if we still have the building, I would suggest that we look to, what could I say, bargain seal some of the equipment that's in there. For instance, the toilets and the urinals and whatever else that could be sold, get rid of it. That would help minimize some expense. I don't know if that's logical to think that way or not, but so.
It's a thought, Councillor.
That's
Appreciate,
my-
I mean,
Yep.
yeah. Councillor Allen?
Thank you. Back to the liability issue. With winter coming up, I know the playground and the sports fields used for sliding, and a lot of families go in. There is still equipment left. Do we have like a timetable as to when you're thinking you're going to try and take that out? Or what would be the idea to minimize our liability from someone getting hurt on the equipment that's there?
It would probably be in our best interest to remove it right away.
Okay.
That'd be the prudent thing to do. As soon as the transfer has happened.
Could we ask the school board if they're taking, as opposed to just cherry picking?
They are cherry picking, and that's
They've
unfortunate.
they've already cherry picked.
Yeah, they've taken the good stuff.
They've taken the good stuff. There's still some good stuff there, but if it's not approved, I guess.
Yeah, we can't authorize use.
So you're not, like, same with the sledding that takes place up on the hill in behind,
We can't authorize it, we can't condone it.
right?
It happens here too.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
don't authorize it, we don't condone it.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
One final question, Mr. Chair. Thank you for entertaining this. Is our insurance policy cover that building for liabilities like that Councillor Allen had mentioned? Or do they have to be at least notified?
That's in the works. That's
Okay.
all part of the transition, that our insurance company has been notified that we will be receiving that school.
All right.
So we will have whatever required insurance policies on it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, it's the last note on that. Once the school is transferred back to us and we start having winter weather, you may get some residents asking you the question, well, we've seen the municipality up there plowing the school. For fire insurance purposes, we will have to at least plow a couple of widths wide around the facility for fire equipment if necessary. So you may get, why are they up there doing that? They don't do it at the other schools. The other thing is too, it is a policy of the municipality to always clear snow on sidewalks around schools, like at the Carleton School, etc., out at the Meadowfields School, and so on. Arcadia used to be in that group because it was a school, so now it won't be plowed out, I'll say, by 8 o'clock in the morning because of, and so on. So, but it will be plowed, don't get me wrong, it's no longer an open school. So there may be a little bit of a time delay in there. So if any of the counselors get a call, that's part of the reason. Pardon me? Whoa. Whoop. Is no further discussion on that item? Councillor Cunningham? Be noted, please, that Councillor Trevor Cunningham re-entered. 7.6, email from Senior Planner Brad Fulton, the Carleton River Watershed Water Quality Monitoring Steering Committee. What is your wishes that was in your package? Any concerns, questions? Go ahead, Deputy Warden.
Mr. Chair, that was just more or less information briefing on what the Carleton Watershed Committee has been up to and what we're currently doing. And actually, that takes part and parcel of my report that I was going to give. But however, since Brad Fulton decided he was going to send this information out to the councillors of what the committee is and what we do and what projects we're working on, I guess I don't have to give a committee report in that regard to this committee, because we just met actually last Tuesday, I believe it was. No, last Friday. We met on a Friday.
Oh, here, yes.
Yes, here at the municipal office, and that committee only meets twice a year. But as you can see, there's a whole different variety of groups that are on this committee. That includes the municipality of Yarmouth, municipality of Argyle, municipality of Clare. They have a representative there, and of course us, Department of Federation of Agriculture, Environment, Nova Scotia Mink Breeders Association. This is to continue on with the water quality issues that we've been having in the Carleton watershed, to make sure that the new regulations that the province has put out over the past few years, that they're actually working, and it's a continuation on from 2007, 2008 of the water quality testing. So just preliminary results that were released at that meeting is the water quality still looks to be improving over the past little bit, so that gives us an indication that the possibly the regulations are having an effect, whether it's because there's less farms in the area, or it's hard to say. But you also need a long-term studying of the lake and river system to get a full picture. But the preliminary results over the past few years are looking better, which has been my goal since I've come on council in 2008. So just a continuation.
Well, it's good to have a benchmark, Deputy Warden, and you can always follow from benchmark. It's when you don't have a benchmark, how you can, whether it's up or down. Once you have a benchmark, then you can tell, which is good. So is there any further discussion or questions on that? Hearing none, we'll go to 7.7. For those of us that know about water, drilled well program. 7.7.1, Bill 52, Property Assessment Clean Energy PACE program. You have a fact sheet, a frequently asked questions, and a draft PACE bylaw. I would imagine there's probably some questions or concerns on the water issue within our municipal unit this summer. Go ahead, Councillor.
Yes, it's good to see that, and I've had one resident in my district already have asked me about it. Looking through this, is there going to be a certain company that's going to be doing the well drilling, or is it going to be any company that's out there? And are they, because of this project, I wonder if they're going to give some type of a discount or something if they get more than one well to drill in certain areas?
That I can't answer myself personally.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's going to be like one company's going to get it all. I think it's going to,
Well, I'm hoping not anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. I also believe it can be dug wells also. in this. It doesn't have to be a drilled well. Some people may not be in an area where a drilled well will be beneficial, and so on.
So right now, residents can apply, come and get the application form from here and go for it, or is it up and running yet or not?
I'm going to defer that to my CAO. I could,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ken, I'm going to put it all the onus on you.
He always makes me be the bad guy. You notice that?
What's that?
I'm always the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know,
He orchestrates it that way. Okay, and the reason this all says draft and whatever is I'm not sure that this is fully passed through the legislature.
Okay.
So I've got a call into, actually, Mark Peck. We've missed each other on a couple of calls, but he's with the department. He's head of policy or whatever. I need to find out where this is at with respect to the change in the legislation.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's done, they've forwarded some suggested draft bylaws and some facts on this and so on. So if it's council's wishes, and I can only assume that it is, but again, it's council's decision. If you want to pursue the program, perhaps a motion of council to, in principle anyway, to proceed working with the province and work on a bylaw to accommodate this, so that when this is available, we can have a bylaw hopefully ready to be put in place and we can accommodate applications.
Yes.
So I think a motion of council to proceed.
I would make that
Council
motion.
so wishes to partake in this program, which is, I
Yep.
think, a great program.
Yeah. I would make that motion to
Okay.
proceed, council proceed with the bylaws once it comes due, and
Okay.
and we'll be kept informed on it, right? So,
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a motion made by Councillor Cushion. Is there a seconder to that motion? Been moved by Councillor Cushion, seconded by Deputy Warden Cunningham. Is there any further discussion on that motion, Deputy Warden?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. One thing I want council to realize is making a bylaw just does not happen overnight. It's going to take a little bit of time. Once we find out what the province is doing and what the parameters are, and once they actually pass the bill, and I don't believe that they're sitting in the House, if I'm not correct, at this time. So any changes to the MGA Act is not going to be happening until the government sets again, which is probably going to be after, if they do set it, it's probably going to be in 1st of December, and they may or may not get that through, so it may not happen until the new year. And once we have all the figures and stuff in front of us, our policy and bylaw committee meets once a month after the committee of the whole, so it's going to take some time. And I want you, each and every one of you, to stress to the residents that things just don't happen overnight. We have to draft up a policy. It has to go through to council, through the proper channels before. So realistically, I don't think we'll have anything in place until a minimum of the 1st of the summer next year. I just want council to realize that we've gone through this before, and I can't see anything changing. And that's provided that the government moves forward with the changes to the Municipal Government Act. There may be holdups. We don't know. So this program could possibly not be in place this summer.
Councillor Cunningham?
Just read the motion back, please. Just
Liz?
To proceed with the program and development of the bylaw, and that is in regards to the development of the program.
so, this is my concern. We don't know precisely what the program is. I think I agree with the CAO. In principle, it looks good, but we're saying we're not certain that the legislation's in place, and then all the details aren't in place necessarily either. I mean, there's including the bylaw and so forth. So to proceed with the program, my understanding of that would be to proceed with the development of a bylaw, and subsequent to that bylaw being approved, we'd approve our participation in the program formally. So
Yeah.
my understanding of this motion is that it's not saying we're gonna go ahead no matter what. If we learn something that is in the future that troubles us, we may not proceed. Everything looks like a go at this point, but I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah.
Is that the intention of the motion?
Go ahead, hit your button again. Just second, yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, that was, as Ken mentioned, about the principle of it. If it goes through, and it's certainly understood that the process will take time to become reality, and if it does, number one. Number two, with the winter months coming up and the rain that's upon us now and whatnot, I think most people are able to use their wells, but I think it to be proactive for us to be on given notice that if everything works out, the bylaws are in place, the policies in place, and the MGA Act is completed and whatnot, that yes, and if it's viable for us to do, then we should do it. I think we should be on our toes to have that in place, so when everything else comes in, we don't have to hash it over at that time. We can act upon it. Is that correct?
I'm not planning on waiting until we pass the bylaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
Yeah.
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 Just saying, if everything falls into place. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Durkee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say that there are still people who are presently having difficulties with their wells, and we may have to consider something through the winter to assist people who are having difficulties. I know this is the first time that we have been low in the past week, and we have an absolutely gigantic well on our property. So we may have to come up with something in the meantime that's going to assist people, as well as, you know, we have to start planning for the future, as if people continue as well to have difficulties through the summers. We have no idea what to expect. That has to be something that we have to consider.
Yes, thank you. If I may make a comment to that is, yes, as Councillor Durkee stated, there is people out there right now. I can take you to 2 wells that are still dry. Very hard to believe. But talking with some, I won't call them geologists, but people that have dug wells and so on, sometimes when a well goes dry, the seams will seal up, like where the water leaks in and so on. They'll seal up, believe it or not, and so on, and the well will stay dry, or it'll only get a little bit of water. Some wells I talked throughout the summer, one person had 9 feet, and 45 feet to the left of them, no water. So I mean, it's very funny according to what stream you're on, or if you're on a natural spring, and somebody else is just on a crevice or something, and so on. So I do know in my district, I have people that are still hauling water and so on. So it is an issue, and I have people that are kind of waiting. They want to dig new wells and so on right now. Go ahead, Ken.
Just a bit further to that, I did have a discussion with Deputy Minister of Municipal Affairs and Mark Peck, and I've been in constant contact with the EMO zone coordinator for this end of the province over for the last number of months, and they've helped with the delivery of water from bottlers. I guess most of it's Superstore and Sobeys water that's been supplied free of charge, and they've been making shipments to us. We've been dispersing it. So that's one thing. We got the Mariner Center where we've been allowing people to fill up. We're providing tokens for people to fill up out at the town's water tank on Lake George Road. But again, in our discussions, in my discussions with the Deputy Minister, there was some concern that if we don't get sufficient rain before the winter freeze up, that things could get very difficult this winter, because people are relying on, hauling water in tanks and tanks on back of trucks and things. Well, if things start to freeze up, that's going to get difficult. So they are aware of this as well. And I'm not sure what all the answers to that are, but I think if we don't get some substantial rainfall in the next few weeks, that we're going to have to be putting our heads together with those folks. And I think they will help us come up with some solutions And unfortunately, there won't be probably great solutions, but we've got to find some way to help people through the winter if that ends up being the case. And that is a possibility. Because I know that there are still some dry wells and some very low wells.
And one last note on that. I'd like councillors to give some consideration and some thought. There has been a lot of private individuals who have those tanks, as Ken has mentioned, that have been hauling water for themselves, plus hauling water for their neighbors and other people, friends that they know, and so on. The staff at Mariner Center, I have had a lot of these people that have been hauling water have told me above and beyond, Mariner Center staff have been excellent. Like, they can't say enough good things about them. I've been out there while some people have been getting their tanks filled, and they're true to their word. The Mariner staff have been extremely helpful and so on. And I'd like this council to give some thought and so on, that I won't say when this situation is over that we maybe try and do something, some type of certificate, plaques, do something. We get the information, and also this municipality do something, a commemorative plaque to the Mariner staff for what they've done. Gil Dares, I don't know if you knew, on his own went out and bought a tank, and he loaned that tank to anybody that had a half-ton truck. He come there and they put it on the back of your truck, you take the water, you bring the tank back, and so on. He took that out of his own pocket, that wasn't Mariner's and so on. So I mean, the town has been very, very good too, and so on. So just like you keep that in the back of your head. Councillor Cushion?
Just one last comment on the Mariner Center in Gildares and buying that, purchasing that tank and whatnot. I used the tank 12 times myself to help my neighbors out. My well was okay, but I hauled water from my neighbors, and they were very helpful. The Mariner staff are great guys out there to do things in, and I certainly think that's a great idea also.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
thank you.
Hearing no, so on the draft bylaw, do we need or request a motion that, or do you not, we're just? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I apologize. Okay. Go on. The motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion on that? Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded. Motion carried. Thank you. I'm sorry.
And that was basically to
Yes.
proceed to
Yes.
draft the bylaw in anticipation
Yes.
of the program coming
Yes.
through.
Yeah, that's what counts. Yes.
And final approval of the bylaw will be our approval to actually proceed.
Yes.
And only
Deputy Warden? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was funny that you started to go off on that, asking about the bylaw, because I was going to ask if it would be appropriate to make another motion, since the bylaw committee has not met yet, that we have that as our top priority, or one of our top priorities. I can't remember what we've had for leftover business over the previous, but if there's nothing withstanding, I'd like to see this move
Had one
forward
of
as
those.
quickly as possible. And as our solicitor stated, that we're not bound to it until council actually passes the motion to accept that.
I think that's a given,
Yeah.
given the, the emergency nature of this. As soon as we know that the legislation is passed through, and we're certain on the criteria required by the province to access the funding and how the program has to work. Example, is it drill wells? Is it dug wells? Is it certain companies that are qualified to do it? Is it, and all that stuff? We got to make sure that we meet the criteria. Does the homeowner engage them? Do we engage them? How's it paid? Our role in this should be, I'm thinking, is basically to secure the funding to enable them to do this over a longer term at a very favorable rate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One more thing is, I've been directed by staff currently to forward, get people to call the municipal office to be placed on a list. We have no idea how large that list is. People that's called want to be put on a waiting list.
Yeah, we've had, unfortunately, I don't know, I don't want to say too much about this, but we didn't know this was going to be presented in the House in Halifax, and so the first thing we hear is people have heard it in the media and they're contacting us and saying, where do I sign up to get my well drilled?
Yeah.
So, well, wait a minute,
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about, but, and then we finally read the press release the next day when it comes out, find out that it's been introduced in the House. Well, that doesn't mean much, other than, well, okay, it's been introduced in the House. It's quite a process to put a bill through. So, John,
Well, that was the whole point, because
what we've agreed to do is take people's names and put them on a list so that when we have all the information, then
Yeah.
we can deal with people. We're not just going to brush them off.
And that's the whole sad part about this, because all of a sudden I was started, the day it was introduced to the House, not passed, introduced to the House, I got calls, well, how can I get access to this program? And I also had to go and look and see exactly whether it was only a bill that was introduced in the House. It wasn't something in the way that the news media come out with it, was that it was there, just contact your municipality and we'll dig your well and take it out of your tax bill. Well, that's not exactly what was going on. It was someone standing up on their soapbox before before they actually had something to talk about.
Yeah.
They should have said it, in my opinion, the media release should have said the province is looking into changing the Municipal Government Act and setting all the cogs in place to make sure that people can have access to have their well drilled. And I realized that, but we were caught between a rock and a hard place. What do we do with people contacting us? And I can't remember which staff member it was who said, well, the municipality will start a list.
That's why we're starting a list. We
Yeah.
don't want people to think that we're ignoring them. We don't have those approvals from the province. We don't know the criteria. We don't have any of that stuff from them yet. This is the first of it we just received with draft bylaws and things to sort of help us get prepared when it is all approved to put a bylaw in place. But these are only draft. We still need to know that they've passed the changes to the legislation through the House, that the bill's been enacted, and what the criteria is that they set around it.
When is our next newsletter coming out? Because maybe these points should be put on there.
It'll be spring.
It will be in the spring.
Yeah.
And still then, we might not know much more than we know now, but that's maybe a subject that should be on our newsletter.
Yeah. I don't know how many times.
Or even Facebook,
and the website.
when the information comes available.
I don't know how many times it has to be. I know in some of our bylaws, you have to have 3 readings.
3 readings, correct.
So I don't know. I assume it'd be also at the provincial legislation, almost be on the same principle. The House isn't setting, like, how do you pass something when you're not sitting? But my one question is, Deputy Warden, you're meeting with Zach on Monday? Yes, and I know it's on rural internet. Maybe at the end of your rural internet, maybe you can ask some questions pertaining to this, which may be beneficial. I'm going to try and go to that. I have it scheduled in my calendar, but if I can make it, we should ask Zach for 5-10 minutes of a discussion after the rural internet pertaining to this well issue, or to the drilling issue, because it has become a very important issue within the municipality. That's all. Okay, hearing no further discussion or questions on that, we'll move on. 7.8, Veterans Affair, Councillor T. Cunningham. The floor is yours, sir. Go ahead.
Right. Recently in the news, became evident that Sydney had their Veterans Affairs office returned to them. And that got me thinking, certainly with Remembrance Day and all that, we've got veterans in this area, and I just perhaps would like staff to look into, are our veterans receiving comparable levels of service and access to services in Yarmouth County is, for instance, folks in Cape Breton or the Annapolis Valley or Sydney, for instance. There must have been a reason for certainly a good reason for bringing these services back online in the Sydney area. Perhaps we could have staff look into that issue and bring it back for further discussion and potential action.
Yes. Go ahead, Ken.
Councillor, knowing that you've got the item on here, we can answer that now. What's happened in Sydney is they've reopened an office that closed under the last government. This current government had committed to reopening it. They've now reopened that office. There was not an office in Yarmouth previously to reopen. So that's reopening an office that the previous government had closed. Our veterans have, for some time, received their services out of Halifax. And it's been like that. My dad was a veteran, and 15 years ago, I was dealing with a lady out of Halifax. So it's just, there was not an office in Yarmouth, and it's simply based on the numbers, I assume. Cape Breton, there'd be a lot more population and a lot more seniors, a lot more veterans in that area, and they used to have an office there.
Go ahead, Councillor.
So I guess the follow-up question is, that's good information, but is that presenting any hardship for veterans in this area? That's the question.
Well, I mean, the veterans in Sydney would tell you they get better service if they've got an office downtown. I don't know who wouldn't tell you that. The numbers don't dictate it, and I don't foresee the federal government opening a brand new office on that front. I don't even think they opened all of the offices they closed, but they did reopen the one in Sydney. Does it create a hardship? It's never fun dealing with somebody in Halifax on a phone, but that's been the way, I guess. And there are fewer and fewer veterans. I shouldn't say that. There are probably a number of them from Afghanistan conflict and whatnot, but certainly not many World War II vets left, and not a lot of Korean vets. So there are fewer, so the numbers wouldn't dictate probably anything greater than what's there now.
If I may, Councillor Cunningham, when I seen that you had requested this on, I did stop out here to the 84th Artillery and went to their administrative office here and just asked and so on. Their comment to me was they did not ever remember that there was ever one in Yarmouth. They did not know, they didn't dare say if there had ever been one in Cornwallis. They were quite sure there hadn't been one in Greenwood. They said the nearest one is Halifax. I told them, I said, when you say veteran, I either figured First World War or Second World War. They corrected me on that. Any active member is a veteran. They do not have to be deployed overseas or even go to a conflict. They told me, even though the 84th Artillery is stationed in Yarmouth, if they have an issue for Veterans Affairs, one of them retires or gets hurt, they go through the Veterans Affairs, and they said they just get in touch with Halifax. If I'll say there's still a Second World War vet that needs some type of assistance, my understanding from them is you pick up the phone, you call, and you make an appointment, and they make you an appointment in Halifax, and that's where you have to go. Yes, it is a distance and so on. Your question was kind of, has there been any hardships between you and Cape? I don't know how you'd go about finding that out, because I know Veteran Affairs won't tell you, and I don't know, like, would a veteran or somebody, an active member, tell you, Trevor? I'm not sure, but I did have that discussion with them. They were very helpful and so on. As a matter of fact, they did mention if this council at any time would like to have a tour of their facility out there, their administration building, their drill hall, etc., their equipment, they would be more than open to doing a tour for us as councillors to go out and just do like a walkthrough and information session and so on. So I have the contact name there and so on, so we run with that. I believe it's Councillor Cushing.
Yes, just to expand on the veterans' needs. Long before I was a counselor, there was a veteran in our community that I knew and that I often go visit people, and this particular veteran, he was having trouble with he was going blind, and he was having trouble trying to get a hold of Veterans Affairs and so on and so on. So what I did, I contacted a member of the Legion. And this person was a veteran. Unfortunately, that guy's not here anymore. He passed away. But And I gave them the contact. That way veteran can talk to veteran, and they worked through the problem that this veteran had in my neighborhood, right? And that worked very well, sort of thing, right? So that's something we can do. Just be aware of the veterans in our areas and see how they're making out. Sometimes they don't want to ask for help. So just to let you know that.
Trait,
Yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor.
So yeah, I think that organizing that visit would be worthwhile. So if you'd want to do that on behalf of council, that would be fantastic, and we could learn a little bit more about what's being done for our veterans and so forth.
They told me they didn't have anything that was top secret there, most everything we could see.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, okay. $7.9, request for a reduction to assessment account number 055-18504. What is the wishes of council? Go ahead, Councillor.
Right, I'll move the municipality of the District of Yarmouth apply a reduction to the assessment account number 055-18504.
Been moved by Councillor T. Cunningham, Trevor Cunningham, seconded by Patty Durkee. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Question on the motion been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you, councillors. Item number 8.1 is committee reports. Is there any questions or concerns on any of the reports or committees that are there? I realize that some of these committees and so on, you've just been appointed on the 16th to these, and some of them haven't met and so on, but they will be meeting now in December, January, and so on. Some of them will be your first meetings, so on. But go ahead, councillor.
Mr. Warden, just we should probably update the website with the, if that hasn't already been done, with the council appointments in terms of boards and committees and maybe even new photos. So.
It is done. It is done, councillor. She's fast. The recommendations from in camera, I believe, been dealt with. There was nothing else. Go ahead, councillor. Go ahead.
Yeah, there was just one item. I'd request that the municipality of the District of Yarmouth request a report, an update from the airport manager regarding air service and cargo service.
Okay. Been moved by Councillor Cunningham. Do we have a seconder for that? Moved by Trevor, seconded by Daniel. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Question on the motion being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you, councillors. Is there any further business of council? If not, I have one comment. Go ahead, councillor.
How'd you know I was going to say something? Are you going to go into the other reports too, or do we do that now at this time or later? Or
As per.
To give it a verbal report.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
First of all, you got your A1 committee reports, and then you get your your 8.2 other reports. Are we going to do we do that too, or now, or later? Or?
They're all there. No, you can do it now.
Do it now. I just want to give I did attend the Friends of the Light a meeting, my first one, and. I must say they're a very energetic bunch, sitting around that table, and it was kind of overwhelming for me to absorb everything that was going on there. And just to let you know, I'm very interested in the Yarmouth Light because I grew up in the area, and I've been doing a lot of background research on the Friends of the Light and the municipality of Yarmouth cooperation with them, and I still haven't investigated all my findings yet to make a written report. But however, I I do think that Friends of the Light are a noteworthy group. And as it was reported tonight about the dumping day thing, which is, I've never attended one, but I will be attending this one. But I certainly like to see the municipality of Yarmouth and the Friends of the Light increase their communication levels from one to another, and I think would be a big plus in the running of the Friends of the Light. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Appreciate that. And so, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll take this opportunity. I guess I'll direct it towards Daniel. Daniel, I know you, and on the 28th is dumping day, and it's going to be a very active and busy season for you, but not just for you, but for the fishing industry, the fishing community, and so on. And I'll take this as an opportunity to say to you and to all your colleagues on behalf of the municipality, the residents, and so on, wish you all the best in the season, but the most important, safety first, and so on. And for all of our residents that work in the fishing industry, from unloading the boats to grading the lobsters and so on, safety first is very important. To go home every evening is one of the most important things. Again, Daniel, all the best to the season and to the industry for your so on. And that. On that note, if there's no further business of council, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Patty. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Lauren. Thank you very much.